영권
돌아갑니다. 공동이 됩니다. 공동이 역전을 만듭니다. 2점의 갈비를.
Winners of the AFC Champions League 2020, Ulsan Hyundai.
You're listening to the K-League United podcast, proud partner of Football Nation Radio.
Hello, 안녕하세요. Ryan Walters in the K-League United bunker. We can't call it the Kim Do-hoon bunker anymore. He's sailing a very different ship these days. Anyway, I am joined this week by an unusual panel. We haven't had this selection together before. Matthew Binns is here. He's always here. Matthew, how you doing?
Hello. I'm good.
And all the way from the fine weather that I'm sure you're experiencing in England, it's our resident Daegu freak, as he's known online. It's Jung Muyeol.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm sure. Well, you and I talked a couple weeks ago. We had planned on getting you onto the pod today, and what perfect timing it was. Sassini even flexed his muscles, quite literally. That's how excited he was to have you on the pod this week.
Yes, actually, I think I was just as excited as him. To be honest, I was watching the game, and then I almost just dying because I didn't expect us to win the game. To be honest, in that way.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you ripped off your shirt and just flexed for whoever was around.
But it was too early morning for me.
Okay. Well, yeah, we got a lot to talk about with Muyeol's team and Matthew's team, and my team is in the division where the party is, so we'll talk about that later. But Matthew, we are going to have some bad news for you today, so I wanted to get started with some good news for you. Wookiee Watch is in full effect.
Yeah, Kim Shin-wook, he's back, isn't he? He's back in the national team. The towering striker that can play anywhere, some believe. It's kind of a bit like he's come back. Son Jun-ho, Kim Min-jae. It's all these Jeonbuk players that that right now I'm missing very much, and I'm not sure they're going to be letting them leave Korea so easily after these qualifiers are over.
Right. Yeah. There's some quarantine rules. Looks like you guys have to go to, Jeonju is what it looks like. It says where you have to go. Anyway, yeah, we will be talking a little bit about him and everybody else. And on top of all that, we also have Paul Neat's interview with Canadian international and Suwon Samsung Blue Wings defender Daniil Henry coming up. So with all that, there's no time for faffing about. We're just going to get into this. And today we are going to be talking about the Korean national team squads just very briefly. Because pretty much everybody has been named between the World Cup qualifying and the Olympics. And then we're going to talk about the K1 title race because we actually have a title race in the first division. It's fantastic. I'm absolutely loving it. And I do see that Scott Whitelock is watching and said that Muyeol's hair is looking great.
Thank you.
In line with how good the K1 title race is looking for Scott and every other Suwon Samsung Blue Wings fan, I'm sure. But today, we're just going to focus on the top four teams, really. We're going to talk about Ulsan for a little bit. Unfortunately, Dan Croydon was on daddy duty tonight, so he couldn't make it. So I will be talking lovingly about them, I guess. And then we are going to hear from Daniil Henry himself about Suwon. And then Matthew is going to openly weep on the internet, I believe, is the plan for the Jeonbuk segment. And then we're going to talk about Daegu FC. That's why we got Muyeol here tonight, because they're right up there in the title race and looking good as they're getting ready to get back into international football and AFC Champions League. So that's all coming up, plus your questions in the Ulji Luis mailbag. But anyway, gentlemen, let's hop into this and let's talk about the World Cup qualifying squad and I guess the Olympic squad. We definitely don't have time to name all of the players on both because there's just a plethora of players on both. Let's start with the World Cup qualifying squad. Matthew, I'm shocked by this, but you had a Peep Show reference for this squad, and I guess that was one of the surprises that you had here?
Yeah, 4 goalkeepers, Jeremy. Are you insane? It's chosen more goalkeepers than strikers. I mean...
Correct.
I guess Wang Yichan, Son Heung-min, they're attacking players and they're listed as midfielders. But then again, some people discount Kim Shin-wook as a striker, so then it balances itself out. But no, it's the usual three. It's Cho Yeon-woo, Kim Sung-yu, and Gu Sung-yeon, and they've chucked in Kim Jin-hyun from Cerezo Osaka as well. All good goalkeepers, but four for this. I mean, I suppose it's because you've got 3 games quite packed together in these qualifiers, but still, I don't think you need to go overboard. You don't take that many to a World Cup.
Yeah, I don't know why, especially, we talked about this before, I don't know why Cho Yeon-woo is in this squad when he has ACL duties coming up. Let the man get a little bit of a break. Let him get a little bit of a rest. And you did mention the forwards there. As you said, there are only 3 strikers. One of them is big enough to take up all 11 positions on the field. We've talked about that is Kim Shin-wook. He's on the squad again. Hong Hee-jo, no surprise there. But Muyeol, and I'll come to you on this one for any surprises as well, but the forward rounding out the World Cup qualifying squad is Jung Sang-bin. Was that a little bit of a surprise for you to have him in this squad?
Yes, actually it came as a surprise to me, but I can understand the decision behind it because the Jung Sang-bin was not listed for provisional 50 squad for the Olympics, because that squad, the provisional squad was submitted by the middle of March, and then he wasn't included, so that's why he was excluded in the Olympic squad. But still, it is very surprising to see him in the World Cup squad, to be honest.
Do you think we'll see him play? I mean, I think it's a big shame that he's not in that Olympic squad because his international age is 19, 20 here in Korea. If you don't know about that, look it up on the internet. It's a thing. I think it's a little disappointing that he's not able to go and get that medal, right? So do you expect him to feature here, or what are you looking for out of him or anybody else on this squad, really?
But I think he's still young enough to look forward to the next 2 Olympics. So
True.
I think it's absolutely fine. And also there's also Asian Games probably open to him as well. So, I mean, just it's only a matter of time for him to get called up to the Olympic teams or Asian Game teams next time.
Yeah, we hope.
Yeah, we do.
Matthew?
Hope.
Well, yeah, I think as well, the Olympic team is kind of the same that won the Under-23 championships
Correct.
At the beginning of last year. They were supposed to be at the Olympics last summer. Now, I know, obviously, we said the provisional squad had to be submitted by March, but I imagine Kim Hak-bum probably feels obliged to continue playing this team that had won this competition that was ready for the summer and then had to delay it a year. What is interesting with the same logic, but Song Min-kyu from Pohang, he wasn't in that AFC Under-23 team, but he's definitely had a season under his belt where he could have been considered for this one. I think his omission from the Under-23 squad is probably more of a shock, especially when you look at the Under-23 squad. And I know we're trying to keep on the senior squad here, but the Under-23 squad still has players on it that have got military exemption.
Which, that one, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know we've talked a lot about Sung Bum-kun before, and I'm not sure why he keeps getting the call up here. I mean, obviously he is a great keeper, and I think, like you say, Matthew, it probably is about the cohesion there. But Muyeol, you had something you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, just adding a bit to what just the Matthew brought up about the Song Min-kyu. So apparently I read the news. So interview of the Under-23 team manager Kim Hak-bum. So he very, very politely made complaint about the World Cup team squad selection by Bentu. So he tried to, he was in line with the people at the KFA for them to mitigate the situations of the team selections between the Olympic teams and the World Cup teams. And then apparently Paulo Bento was stubborn enough to stick to his own plan, particularly some players.
Well, that does go a long way to explain these squad lists then.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, it's everybody. It's everybody all at once. So we're definitely not going to run down all of the names right now. It is on the KFA Twitter. It's on the KFA Instagram. And KFA is doing some really great work this year, doing both English and Korean. So if you can't read Korean, don't worry about it because they've got it in English on there. But yeah, it's also it's a difficult time because usually you don't have these things happening at the exact same time like this. So we'll see how they go. And obviously we'll have a lot more on both World Cup qualification, which is resuming next week. Somehow that's a thing that's going to be happening again in Goyang here in Korea. And the Olympic squad will be getting ready very soon. They've got a couple of friendlies coming up against Ghana in just a couple of weeks' time. So we'll touch base on that more as it progresses. But let's get into what we're here to talk about. And unfortunately for me, it's not K-League 2, it's K-League 1. Let's talk about Ulsan Hyundai and how they are top of the table. And for those of you watching live, I just want to take a minute and just revel in Matthew Binns being here for Jeonbuk not being top of the table. Does everybody take that in?
Jeonbuk haven't been top of the table this point in the season for the last couple of seasons. I just...
Don't ruin everybody's moment like that with your doses of reality, Matthew. Get out of here. Anyway, let's talk about this. There's also the small fact that Jeonbuk has played one fewer game than Ulsan. All that's going to get sorted out soon. But anyway, as of right now, Ulsan Hyundai sit top of the table on 33 points after 17 matches played. And talked to Dan Croydon a little bit about this today, and I'm also curious what you guys think about this. To me, the biggest thing, and Michael and I joked about this on the podcast last week, the biggest thing is they not only finally went out and beat Jeonbuk, I believe that was their second win in 16 matches against Jeonbuk, if my memory serves. They went and did that, which I think to me was a massive statement of intent. But more importantly, they went out and they beat Pohang on the weekend. They finally got both of these teams, and they got them consecutively. So I think that, to me, just shows the mental difference that the team has this year, because they weren't doing that last year. And I don't know if it's down to the player personnel or if it's the manager, but they look different. Muyeol, do you think, is there some kind of magic mixer that Hong Myung-bo is putting in the water down in Ulsan?
Like, to be honest, I'm still skeptical about Hong Myung-bo's ability as a manager, because it's too early to make a judgment on him, what he has done so far. Because to be frank, I think the reason why Ulsan is on the top of the table is basically the Jeonbuk are not that strong as last year, and also Ulsan also not that strong, to be honest, compared to the last season.
It's like you're reading my notes. I'm not sharing them this time, but that's exactly what I've said as well. Yeah. I mean, Jeonbuk, Ulsan beat Jeonbuk early in the season in 2019. They were top of the table until near the end of the season. They still lost the title. They beat Pohang 3 times out of 4, but they lost to Pohang when it mattered. They beat Pohang twice last season, but lost to Pohang when it mattered. Ulsan, you can only judge whether Hong Myung-bo's 10 years of success when it actually gets to be a game of real pressure. And on top of that, Ulsan, yes, they have a lot of potential in their team at the moment, but it's still not delivering. They were stuttering into that Jeonbuk game. 2 of those goals against Jeonbuk were gifted to them. And then the one against Pohang, yes, it was a great free kick from Yoonbit Garam, but it took 85 minutes to try and break them down. And then they nearly conceded one at the other end. Yes, great mentality to beat 2 teams that are going to, have caused them problems in the past. I fully agree that they have the potential to be even better than Kim Do-hoon's side, but they're not better than Kim Do-hoon's side at the moment, by my opinion. But Jeonbuk are just far worse. Look at what Suwon Samsung Blue Wings did to them before the Jeonbuk game. Look at what Suwon did to them a month ago as well. Let's not just mask over the fact that they were not performing coming into that Jeonbuk match. And they've got 2 very good wins. But let's see what it'll be like at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always the thing, is that we're always waiting for Ulsan to Ulsan. So we'll see where they go. I mean, there are other teams up near the top of the table that are making this more interesting. And yeah, like you said, I think there is a lot to be said for Jeonbuk as well, which we will get to. But we're not ending on that note. we're not going to end on
Okay, all right.
just poo-pooing Ulsan's efforts right now.
They're creating the most quality. Okay, chucking the XG out, but they are creating the most quality chances in the league. They are underperforming. They are averaging a lot of possession in their games. They were, before coming into the Jungbook match, it was 5 matches in a row with 60% possession a game. They've got, like I said, there's a lot of potential there, but yeah, I wouldn't get carried away just because they're beating a poor Jungbook side and a Pohang side that they usually beat anyway 9 times out of 10.
Well, again, I'm here to try to heat up that cold water you're trying to put on everything. It's not that I love Ulsan that much. It's just that I told Dan I would take this segment for him. And one of the things that he pointed out as well was that it does look like Hintasir is finally starting to get some minutes. That looks like he's finally going to get enough of a run out to see if he's going to be able to gel. He has been looking better. And I think Kim Ji-hyun's going to come good at some point. I think we've just seen it time and again with him before. He's a better player than he's showed so far. And I think he will come good eventually. And we'll see. I mean, I've also liked what we've seen from Vako in stretches, but I don't necessarily know that he's the one that I would be looking for to score the goals there. And Lee Dong-jun is having a tremendous season as well, and I think that's going to continue. We've seen him make this step up from Busan. The quality around him has improved, and we've talked about that a lot this year, and I think that's going to continue for them. And I think if all of that goes the right way, if they can stay healthy, then... let's see where it is in a couple of weeks. I mean, we don't call this place the Kim Do-hoon bunker because Ulsan just runs away with things, so we'll see where we get to. Yeah, Muyeol, one more thing, and then we're going to go to a quick break.
Yeah, just one more thing about the Kim Ji-hyun. I personally believe he is remorseful about his move to Ulsan, and that this summer transfer window probably, I think he will be loaned out to Gangwon. I personally think, yes, because the Oh Se-hoon is going to return to Ulsan, and he's still eligible as the under-22 player. Mm-hmm. So considering Oh Se-hoon and Hintasir and Bako, Kim Ji-hyun is way down in the pecking order. So I don't think he has any future in Ulsan's squad. So I think he'll probably move to somewhere, most likely Gangwon.
Send him back up to Gangneung, man. I'm all in for that. That'd be great. And like you say, I think one other thing to note there is that Ulsan is going to get some reinforcements. You mentioned Oh Se-hoon. He's somebody that I always love talking about, and it's a really good point. I think he will change the dynamics of that attack as well. And they're also going to get Park Young-woo and Im Young-jae back as well. So some really big names coming back to Ulsan there. But we're going to take a really quick break, and then on the other side of this break, instead of us talking about Suwon Samsung Blue Wings, you're going to hear from Canadian international Daniil Henry. We'll be right back.
FNR is a revolutionary football-dedicated digital platform, the first of its kind in Australia. It provides a 24/7 live online radio platform experience, podcast hub, and acts as a content provider for TV, radio, and digital. Having reached millions of listeners and football fans since launching, FNR is accessible worldwide via its website or app, providing a platform to discuss, debate, and celebrate the world game. We are your voice of football, FNR Football Nation Radio.
Daniil, thank you very much for your time. You seem to be really enjoying your time here in South Korea.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a great adjustment. Something that I wasn't sure about in the beginning, but coming into a place where the pandemic started, not too far away, and then kind of getting familiar with it, how to deal with it, following the protocols, and then still being able to have a life outside of football too, kind of helped me a lot because I haven't been able to see much family over the year, the calendar football year. So, no, my life in Korea is amazing. I met some amazing people, and yeah. The football this year has been really good, so it helps with everything else.
Last night you played your first 90 minutes of the season, I think. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I feel sore for sure. I've come into a routine of things, and knowing that most training sessions are usually in the afternoon, so I still go in the mornings and just do my prep, core, stretching, and treatment. My mornings are always packed with treatment and making sure my body is prepared and prepped well. So today, the day off, I'm still going to continue with starting my day off with some treatment and rehab, and then go back home and probably just have a chilled, relaxed day.
Yeah. It's been a very, very quick and relentless start to the new season. But I want to just go back to the start of when you first moved to Suwon. How did the move materialize?
It's funny. I was on an away trip, uh, and I was talking to one of my ex teammates in Vancouver, and he told me his agent wanted to talk to me. I said, yeah, sure, and I just sent him on to my agent, and they kind of had a conversation. Uh, I've seen like a formal contract kind of written up, and I had no idea about the K League. I haven't watched the game. All I knew, I had a teammate in Vancouver, in Bampuan, who kind of told me about it. So I kind of talked to him, and I asked him about the team, and he told me it was a very big team in Korea with a lot of history, and he was the one who kind of gave me that confidence and understanding and kind of introduced me to the K League. And then I kind of started to kind of get more familiar with it, and when it came up to time to kind of contract time in the MLS, where I was trying to get a new deal and couldn't find something that I thought was something that I deserved, so I pursued other options, and I just wanted to see Korea and see what it was like before I made that big transition and big move, because it's a very very big move to leave North America and then to go to somewhere that far and be away from your family and stuff. But when I went here, I felt really comfortable, safe. The club is first class, very professional, and made me feel very comfortable about my decision moving forward.
Well, speaking of MLS, how does the K League compare to that league in terms of the style of play and the physicality and things?
Yeah, I think that two very similar leagues. K League's interesting because when you think about North American players, you think about physique, strength, just like freak athletes, and then you mix that with the players that they start to bring, the young players that they bring in from like South America, and then the DPs who also add character, class, and experience that could play abroad too. But I think the K League is more structured and more in what they do. They take pride in their players and want to bring their players up too. And you can tell because they have a really good national team and they flourish at the international level for years. The players that they usually target are what I see are Brazilian players or players from that caliber. So they're really good. It's a really good league. But you don't see much. The players that I've seen are played in Korea are not players that I've ever heard of. I've heard of before until I came across them. MLS was a lot of marquee players who have made European impacts and stuff. The league is very strong. A lot of quality teams. But it's like one of those leagues where any game and every game, like you have to bring 100% focus because any team can beat any team anytime can win.
Yeah. Well, you're back from injury now. You're starting games. How does it feel to be back in the team finally?
Oh, finally, I was losing my head a bit, thinking I'm ready before I was ready. Just wanted to get back, itching to get back, but now no. I'm happy that I followed the plan with the medical staff and the coaching staff who give me the full trust and to come back and to get my minutes and to help the team as much as possible. But no, for me, I'm happy to be back because obviously it's playing with my club team, but also being able to hopefully represent my national team very soon again. Also is something to look forward to, and knowing that the World Cup qualifiers are just around the corner.
Yeah, for sure. Well, when the team are playing well and you are on the sidelines, does that make it even harder because you want to be part of that success?
Absolutely. You know what I mean? You always find yourself in a tough situation when the team is doing well, because it's really tough because when the team is doing well and you're not in the team, you're not going to play, and that's just the nature of the game. You don't change too much. You got to wait for times like now where there's a lot of games and they come in quick. They're coming around quickly. Players are going to start fatigue, and some players need a day, an extra game off, or time to kind of recover. And that's when you need to be ready to make your case. So I just tell you got to stay ready. You got to stay ready at this level. Keep it professional and make sure that you're doing the right thing. Because if you're not, you're only hurting yourself.
Yeah. Well, you came off the bench and then scored the winner against JG United. What a comeback that was.
Yeah, that's the character of the testament to the boys and the coaching staff. We started really slow. I knew I wasn't going to start the game, but I knew that I would probably get an opportunity to play. And I'm just itching to get minutes and build my fitness and get better every game. So when I got on, I knew I had to do a job. And it was pretty simple. And if I can score a goal here and there, obviously I'm doing it for the team and for the boys. So it was a great comeback win. It just shows character that until the last whistle blows, we'd never give up.
So that was something that was part of the coach's game plan to sort of make use of you from set pieces and things like that.
Of course, like set pieces are a big deal, especially in this day and age. They can decide a game. So the more sharp we can, the more clever we can be. Definitely, we can definitely have an edge over teams if we're more technical on set pieces.
You ran over to the fans to celebrate. It must have been a huge relief to sort of see them in the stands again and celebrating. What's it been like to play in empty stadiums or with reduced capacity during the pandemic?
It changes the atmosphere, because you would be surprised how much the supporters of clubs play a role to build that atmosphere. Some places are very hard to play in. You can't hear your teammates. Sometimes it's a hard place to play in. But to be able to celebrate my goal with the supporters of the club, that's one thing I can say about the supporters of the club. They're diehard. They're diehard for the club, and they show their appreciation to the players. It hasn't been easy. Obviously, they haven't been to stadiums much, but even via like Instagram and whatnot, they do recognize the players. They do show support through messages and whatnot. So you just want to work hard and make sure you're doing all the right things because they do take their football serious and they are passionate. So when I can show them how much I appreciate them, I definitely don't shy from doing that.
For sure. Well, obviously, the next game came quite soon after that JG game, but you're back on the bench again. Were you a little bit disappointed not to start? Like, Gaffer, I just scored the winning goal.
No. Everything is everything. We talk about these things, you know what I mean? Like, what's best for the team, what's best for me. I'm still, like I said, I said it before, I'm still coming back from my injury, so playing too many games too quickly could put a hamper on me. I'm just slowly building my condition back up and getting back into it. So going into that game, I knew I wasn't going to start in mind. So it wasn't a pride thing, or of course you want to start every game, but if he thinks what's best for the team is doing well too. I have no decision as long as you tell me.
Sure. Well, the coach, obviously, you mentioned him a little bit earlier, but what is he like to work with? He's done such a great job so far at Suwon. His record kind of speaks for itself since he took over last year. But what's he like day to day? Is he hands-on on the training ground?
Yeah, he's definitely more hands-on. I've had a few coaches here now. Definitely a coach that he's the boss. You know what I mean? Like his presence is felt. He's a lover of the game. Obviously, a lover of this club. Passionate. Also played here, so he really does want to do well. He takes his job serious, and it shows. He's really instilled a way of play within us. But definitely, you can see the mental change from last season to this season. Our last two results, we tied against top teams. Last year, we would have been celebrating and being happy for a tie. We're really pissed off to know that we squandered points against Ulsan, who's now in the top of the K League after beating Jung Muyeol yesterday, and then squandering our lead, our 1-0 lead in the 90th minute. So you can tell the boys are mad, and being mad is a good thing because it shows that we know we can scruffle and fight with the best of them and get results. We've done it so far this season. We've had some really big wins, but we've also played some good football and scored some really good goals. So no, we're definitely on the right path, and we just want to continue to do these kind of things.
Yeah, and obviously, as you said earlier, the schedule's been very hectic, but it means that if you do have a disappointing result, you don't have to wait too long to sort of put that right. You got another game coming up in a few days' time.
Yeah, exactly. You can just bounce back and make the next one right. This month has been really testing. I think it's gonna be 8 games this month, and how we've done it. It's not even that it's 8 games; it's 8 games, and I think a lot of them are top teams, and we've gotten results. So all of these points that we're going to before the break it's really important. So everybody's focused. We talked about it. We set targets and goals, and everybody. The good thing is everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. Well, you sit third. You're not that far off the top of the table. What do you think is a realistic target for Suwon Blue Wings this year?
Winning. That's the target we set. We want to win. Professionalism, and like you said, I think we're 3 points off the top spot right now. I think top spot has 29 or 30 points. I think we're now on 27. So realistically, we're right in it. So realistically, we want to win.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of threes, you've been playing in a back three for Suwon for quite a long time. What's it like? Do you like that kind of back three setup?
No, it's not my ideal formation for me, but as long as I'm playing, I'm gonna do the job. I like playing in the back four, but since being here, I last year I played a lot of my time as the center of the three. I find myself playing as one of the side back, the left or the right. not a problem. It's just more structured and knowing when to move into it. It's all about moving in formation and in a structure of things. It's one of those things where it can work really well when done well. But if it's not organized, then it's not something that you've worked on. It's a disaster to play.
Yeah. We've got two very good wing backs and lots of good players in that team. Lots of good young players like Jung Sang-bin, Kim Tae-wan, for just to mention two. Then you've got experience like the captain there as well. You've got a very good mix there, I think, at Suwon Blues, and that will definitely help you to sort of try and achieve that goal.
Yeah, definitely. What I love about those boys, they're fearless, especially even Hyung Muk, number 14, has played a lot of minutes this year. He just got debuted. A lot of these boys, Neil Sang-bin debuted this year, but you have Daewon also, who's been playing left side of the center back, has played really well this season. Has an unfortunate little injury, but no, what makes me happy is that the young boys are fearless, and then they work hard and they listen and they listen. So that's obviously one of the most things about development is taking criticism, learning. Sometimes you're not going to be in team, sometimes you are, but just keeping the right mentality and not thinking that you're better than you are, and just keeping your head down and working. And testament to the older players have kept them grounded, and just by leading by example in training. Training has been really sharp and it's been really good.
Yeah, it's. I'm just looking at the fixtures now. You've got the FA Cup game as well. Chance for a trophy there.
Listen, as long as we can, every game we take them game by game. Of course, the league is obviously most important, but I think guys will also get a chance to show why they should be in the team for these cup games, especially in the early stages, and make a case for themselves, and they deserve that. So whoever suits up for those games will definitely know that it's an addition to continue to keep pushing for more minutes.
Yeah. All right. Well, Daniel, thank you very much for your time. I'll let you go in and get your recovery done. Good luck this weekend and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you, boss. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Fans, we want to hear from you. You're encouraged to email KLU at info@kleagueunited.com or tweet at K-League United with any questions, comments or reactions. Or follow us on Facebook to ask directly during one of our live shows.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Walters. And I set things up very purposely this week. Matthew Binns, I would like you to go ahead and you have to follow that Daniil Henry interview. You have to live up to that.
I don't know whether I could defend Kim Sang-shik as well as he defends that attacks at Suwon. But yeah, no. John Buck, is that where we're going?
Well, yes, because we are going in the order of the table here. We've started with Ulsan. We just heard about Suwon Blue Wings, and we are down into third place. And that's where John Buck find themselves these days.
You're loving this.
So I just kept setting them up.
I'm not used to following the table in this this match. I'm used to being at the end of the podcast.
I was to say we should have gone bottom up, really, because then you couldn't have gone last.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, yeah. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's probably to mask the tears because John Buck. Not going. Things aren't going well, are they? Let's be honest. It's 6 games. Without a win. Last time that happened was the end of the 2012 season when it was all kind of getting wrapped up. Last time they lost 3 wins in a row, I've stolen this from Muyeol, was all the way back in 2008, I think. Isn't that right, Muyeol?
It was even before Kim Sang-shik's time in Jeonbuk.
Even before Kim Sang-shik's time in Jeonbuk, it was even before Jeonbuk had won a trophy, a K-League trophy. They were champions of Asia. But anyway.
You gotta get those in there whenever you can. Lest we forget they had already won one of their 2 Asian Champions League titles.
Well, it's best to keep getting them in because I don't know when I'll be having those memories again. Well, I mean, anyway, let's just get on with it. So yeah, John Buck, it's going wrong. A lot of things going wrong at the moment. It's from the attitude to youth to players that have not been replaced to stale and negative tactics, even to the best 11, because I'm not even sure what that is at the moment. I'm not even sure the manager knows what that is. But we'll touch on the bigger points. I think it's one thing that the attitude to youth, we've brought it up a lot already this season. A lot of managers bringing off substitutes early. John Booker one of those teams that do like to find any excuse to take players off so they can utilize all 5 substitutes. It's there was a certain irony that it was Jung Sang who got the helped get the winner for Suwon, and Kim Min Jun scoring a goal against Jeonbuk for Ulsan in their back-to-back home defeats, and then they lost to Daegu, who, well, Daegu is well renowned for bringing through youthful talent. It's there's an irony to it, because Jeonbuk, the gap between the senior team and the youth team has never looked so big. The void has never looked like this before at Jeonbuk, mainly because they didn't have to play the youth players until now. They only had to play the one youth player, and while they'd usually managed to acquire one good youth player that could fit into the team, or they could just, buy Chokyu Sung for a season.
Exactly.
They would find ways of getting through, and now more youth players are having to be featured. We're now seeing that, this problem's been lying there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you say, when you're the New York Yankees of Korean football and you can just use the league as your feeder system, then youth development isn't necessarily going to be at the forefront. But I mean, I think that's definitely one of the things, and you wrote an article last week before the 3rd loss in a row for Jeonbuk.
It's not so fun now.
I mean, but that was one of the things that you outlined. But you also were talking about some players underperforming in certain ways. I mean, also because this is a team that, well, they have been very accurate in front of the net, but they're not getting a lot of shots off, and they're just not playing the way that we're used to seeing them play. Is it a tactical thing? Is it also, I mean, is it a personnel thing? Because there have been some key players like Kunimoto, for example, who was really influential last year, who I will never shut up about. He was hurt for a really long time. So is that part of it?
Possibly. There's an argument to be had there. I mean, apart from the youth players that keep getting hauled off, there's actually only about 3 players under 30 as well in this Jeonbuk squad. It's the oldest average age squad in the league at 29. But I think as well, they've just been relying on talent for a while. Now, they did that a bit with Jose Moraes. I think it's been increasing, this problem in size. And I think Kim Sang-sik has inherited some of it to a degree. I think Jeonbuk have just relied on talent and bringing players on this 5 substitute rule. The whole reason why Jeonbuk is trying to utilize all 5 substitutes is because they just keep bringing talent on and just wearing teams down. You look at Jeonbuk's goals. I think I said it was all but 5 of them had come in the second half. 11 goals and 11 assists have all come from players who've come off the bench. There's a lot of evidence to suggest Jeonbuk's just been wearing opponents down. Tactically speaking, they're slow. They just keep picking out the passes, waiting for an opportunity to arise, which sounds like good tactics, keeping hold of the ball and waiting for these things. And the opportunities that do arise, they usually do put away. They are the highest scorers in the league, but I don't think there's much going on tactically there.
Sure.
It just seems like it's the same formation from last season. The fullbacks, we've got Chae Sun, who was playing left back. Now, Chae Sun can play anywhere along that back 4, and he has done during his lengthy time at Jeonbuk. But he's not the first choice left back. Well, he is, but by default. They haven't replaced Kim Jin-soo. Lee Ju-young, who is a left back, well, he's not getting past Chae Sun in the pecking order, who's a makeshift left back. We've got on the other side, there's Lee Young, who's still one of the best right backs in the league, but he looks dead on his feet half the time. His best days are behind him, and these were 2 areas that should have been fixed in pre-season, and they weren't. And they have brought players in like Lee Ho-hyun from Jeonnam to possibly replace Lee Young in the long term, but he's not really getting game time either. So I think it's just stale. It's stale and uninspiring, and it's the whole reason why I found that Ulsan game refreshing enough to write about. Yeah, it was a 4-2 loss, but wow, they actually went for it, which is something we haven't seen from Jeonbuk in a while.
Yeah, it seems, it oddly seems like they're in cruise control in a lot of ways, and in the past they could be in cruise control and still walk away with the league, but now I don't know if it is necessarily the other teams are catching up. I don't know if it's that Ulsan's catching up because Muyeol, like you were saying earlier, I don't think this version of Ulsan is as good as the team that won Asian Champions League and that was right there for 2 other trophies last year. I mean, that's a pretty mean feat. So, I don't know. But one of those teams, and I'll shift this away from you here, Matthew, we'll stop enjoying Jeonbuk's misery. And we'll move on to one of the teams that has caused them a little bit of misery and picked up their 7th win in 8 games undefeated. It's Muyeol's Daegu FC. Muyeol, how are they doing this?
Well, yeah, it's been actually brilliant run they actually made so far with 8 games. And I think some of the regions down to just the key players we have back from injury, because for example like Hong Jong-un and Edgar, I think they have been massive help for us to go through this 8 undefeated games run. And also under 22 player Lee Jin-young, we found him very, very nicely, and he settled in the midfield along with Lee Young-nae, and he literally screened the defense. He just moved everywhere on the pitch. And yeah, just like Jeonbuk, we had a little bit of doubt about under 22 players. And Jo Jin-woo was previously under 22 player, but he was a bit of sloppy in the defense. And that's one of the reasons why we conceded so many goals and we are going so slow in the first few games. And then once we changed the format with Lee Jin-young in the midfielder, I think that also helped us a lot in this run.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, and also it doesn't hurt having Edgar just scoring match winner after match winner after match winner. He scored 3 games in a row that ended up 1-0. I mean, how important has he been? Because I think last year, one of the focuses that I had was that he and Daeon were so similar. And also, I don't know how we went this long on the podcast. Congratulations to Daeon Damjanovic on winning the Hong Kong Premier League with 17 goals in 14 games. I can think of a team or 5 in this league that could use him. But anyway, congrats to Daeon, who was with Daegu last year. And I was a little surprised that they moved him on just because I thought that he did really well. But he and Edgar fit that same bill very similarly. And now that, like you were saying, now that Edgar is healthy, they look a very different side. And is it that he's that goal-scoring threat that was missing, or have you been seeing him kind of playing more of a provider up top there?
I mean, just to be frank, Edgar has been never that prolific as like a Ilyuchenko or Junior, but
Right.
He's a really good striker, helping with others, or just sometimes he just finish on his own. But the problem with him is just that he is old and also he's not that healthy, so he's quite injury prone sometimes. So last year he was, I would say just half of the season he was almost sidelined, and he just stay on the bench and watching Daeon play for him. But once he's really healthy, I think he can make a really good synergy with Sevilla. I think they've been together since 2018 summer, and they are really close friends even off the pitch. So yeah, I mean, just the Edgar has been really big help for us.
Yeah, and they connected on that one and only goal that we saw in the match against Jeonbuk, the match winner. That if you haven't seen that, it was put out on Twitter just about an hour ago of Cecinha's entire match against Jeonbuk. And before we move on to Cecina, and he's somebody that we have to talk about when talking about Daegu, somebody else that I wanted to talk to you about is Jung Seung-wan. And I think that there was some stuff off of the field that ended up getting sorted. He's played 11 games now after all of that got sorted out, but they look a completely different side with him out on the field.
Yes, actually, one of the reasons for Daegu to be really poor from the beginning was we hadn't been together during the preseason because some of the players, including Kim Dae-won, Jung Seung-won, and Kim Jae-woo, Jung Tae-woo, they are all key players in our best 11, but they are all away for Olympic team's duty. And also Edgar was injured, and so yeah, really we are poor because of the key players out of the squad. And I don't think the Jung Seung-won's matter has been completely solved. It was just temporarily solved. So I mean, he's been really massive because without him, we hardly play the ball to the right side, and we have a significant problem, particularly on the left and right flank. And having him back in the squad is really massive, both defensively and offensively. He's just been running all down the line, and yeah, but just I'm slightly worried because the summer is coming, and he probably be called up. He probably be included for the Olympic team squad, and he might want to move this summer, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, look, anybody that's in or around Daegu when summer's coming, I'm always concerned for them anyway, because it's roughly 75 degrees Celsius there at all times. If you haven't been to Daegu in summer, it's something else. And I know you know all about that, Muyeol. And I think, and we'll talk about him really quickly before we get out of here and go into the mailbag, maybe that almost Brazilian climate is one of the reasons that Cecina has done so well. This is somebody, we talk about this all the time, but I mean, you've been part of Daegu forever, basically. And Cecina is somebody that came up through K2. I mean, again, we talk about this from the outside a lot, but like this is very much your club. First, like, what does he mean to this team, and what does it mean to see him playing as well as he continues to play and staying in Daegu when he's playing that well?
I mean, this is really massive for Daegu because we have, before his time, we had never been able to keep the players like that long. Even Korean players, we never had Korean player like that long, just only few. And yeah, just Sejingya playing for us, and every winter or just every summer, there's always a rumor about Sejingya drawing massive interest from abroad. But he always chose to stay longer in Daegu, and I think this is the one of the jobs really nicely done by the club, particularly the club president. I think he just convinced Sejingya, suggest what club want to achieve next. And also, I think probably if we didn't qualify for the ACA this season, I thought he might have left us. So I think it's a bit of fortune, and also yes, the club staff, they just suggest a nice future and some of the plan for the future.
Yeah, and he's definitely been part of the club. He is part of the club. And you mentioned ACL. Really looking forward to seeing Daegu back in international football, and hopefully we can get them. Hopefully the day will come soon when we can get international teams playing in Daegu in that lovely stadium. But as it stands right now, it's just great to see the Sky Blues back in there. But we're going to take a really quick break. We've had a couple of questions come in the comments. We will get to those and the other ones that were brought in beforehand in the Ulji Luis mailbag right after this quick break. We'll be right back.
Ulji Lewis is your neighborhood British bar and cafe located in the Old Jiro district of Seoul. Decorated in old English antiques and furniture for a true homely feel, you can enjoy homemade scones, cakes and afternoon tea during the day, and traditional British favorites like beef stew, English ale, and a fine selection of wines at night. Available for private parties or simply an evening out, Ulji Lewis is sure to become your favorite neighborhood pub. Be sure to mention K-League United at the bar during your visit, and you'll get 10% off your bill.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Walters, joined by the adorable dog, Ulji Luis. I bring it up every week. If you're listening to the podcast, you got no idea. You got to watch the show live. Anyway, Matthew, we've had a couple of questions come in the comments for you. Before we get into the official mailbag here, I just wanted to say that No, Dan, you did not miss Bin's crying. He's made of sterner stuff than that, especially in the week that Man City lifted another trophy. I think that's something you can dab away the tears with, right, Bins? That trophy, it's water absorbent.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly it lightened the mood. But that's all. Well, it's all about this weekend in terms of Man City. But I think that's probably best left for a different podcast.
Yeah, not ours. We don't deal with that kind of nonsense. But we did get a question in from Scott that. Well, I think he started the mailbag anyway, so why don't you go ahead and start with his actual one, and then we'll throw in the one that he got in here.
Okay, so Scott Whitelock on Twitter has asked, will Ko Sung-bom's departure to the military off-road Suwon's title challenge?
I don't know. I'm sorry, Scott. I don't know that this is the year that Suwon challenges for the title. I think they're real good. I like a lot of what's going on there. I don't know that it feels like it's 1 year too early. I know I say that a lot about a lot of clubs, but it feels like this is a little bit of a surprise. Maybe that'll work out in their benefit. And I think the thing that could work out for them is that they are still a young enough squad that they don't know any better. They don't go out there and play with fear. So they will just go out there and beat whoever's put in front of them, as we saw in ACL as well. So I think that could carry them through. But I mean, yeah, Ko Sung-bom, that's going to be a big, big gap to fill. Muyeol, am I just out too far on this one?
But I think, yeah, definitely once I think he moved to Kimcheon for his military service, probably his absence would be felt in Suwon squad. I mean, because I mean, probably wouldn't be that significant in Suwon squad, but considering Jeonbuk and Ulsan, they will all have their former players back from the Kimcheon, like Oh Se-hoon or just the Moon Sun-min. So that probably will significantly increase the chance of them being as the title contenders, while the Suwon only lose their chance.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunate. Before we move on from that one, though, Matthew, Scott did have another one coming in live here, and I'm curious about this. Would you take Jose Moraes? I should say Saudi League champion with Al Hilal, Jose Moraes. Barnsley who? I mean, all this dude does is win trophies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would make it now 4 trophies in 2 and a bit seasons for him. So he's yes. three of them league titles. I mean, I'm not sure how much he had a role in in his latest one. I believe he only managed for 3 games.
4 games. 4 games.
4 games he got to. All right,
yeah.
But yeah, he's in a caretaker manager over there at the moment. But his time at Jeonbuk was good, but I think it was the right time for everybody when he left. I don't think it's just the manager that's the problem. I think Kim Sang-sik, I believed he was the right choice when Jeonbuk picked him. This kind of ties into another question in the mailbag, so I won't go into it. But I think Kim Sang-sik was the right manager. I'm having doubts about that now, but it's clear that it's not just the manager that's the issue. It's clear that there's just other problems at Jeonbuk involving transfer activity and their actual structure from youth to senior squad. They've got great training facilities for the senior squad. I'm sure they've got great facilities for the youth, but they're not developing them. So I think there's bigger issues than just the manager at Jeonbuk at the moment. And I'm not sure Moraes would solve that.
Don't know. All right, what else we got?
All right. We'll move on. Just as well,
we can keep talking about league champion Jose Moraes if you want.
Yeah, well, they did a great job at the end. Anyway. It should also mention, just while we're talking about Suwon, while we're talking about Jeonbuk having the oldest squad in the league, Suwon have the youngest squad in the league. It was something I meant to throw in earlier. And it just kind of shows how these two teams' different approach to how they're running things. Suwon obviously is a conglomerate club in name only for most part. They've had money taken out of them year after year, and they've had to resort to developing youth players. And they've got a pretty good track record anyway in the past, but they are now, we've got a manager in who seems to believe in bringing through those players. But yeah, I don't think Suwon's got the depth for a title challenge, but it's a very promising season for them.
Yeah.
There was a questioning from John Book Hyundai fan account on Twitter, which is Kim Sang-sik's job soon to be in jeopardy if John Book's poor form continues. I think he should get more time, but if John Book get an early ACL exit again, is that enough to get sacked? I will let you two field it first, and I'll give my opinions.
Muyeol, go ahead. I'll throw you under the bus.
I think he might. Yeah, his job might be in a jeopardy if they didn't qualify they didn't go through the group stage, because I think particularly this ACL is a bit different to previous edition, because the second place in group stage doesn't always guarantee the next place in the round 16, because of the expansion of the teams. So yes, I think it might happen, to be frank. But I personally don't want to see it happen, because even if they fail to go through the group stage, because I think he needed more time.
And it's not necessarily an easy group. Again, we will do more of a full-on preview for ACL, but he's in there with Gamba Osaka, Sydney FC, and Tampines Rovers. Sorry. Who, if anybody's loving the AFC Cup, you know all about them. You would think Jumbo could get through that one, but if they don't, I think then serious questions have to be asked. But then again, it comes down to the same thing that we've talked about with managers hitting the exits before. If you get rid of him, who are you going to bring in? I mean, Chae Young-soo's available, but is that who you want? No,
I'm sure that wouldn't be a welcome. But the thing is, Jose Moraes was under far more pressure than Kim Sang-sik to deliver. I think Kim Sang-sik, he's obviously been with the club for a long time. He's got all that. He's got that all stored away. That he's got a lot of faith in him, I think. And I don't think John Book are going to do anything rash. I think, yes, not getting through the group stages would be cause for concern. I don't think they would. And it would only be if they did a Seoul and just plummeted, a Seoul 2018 rather, and just plummeted down the table. I think if they didn't qualify for Champions League in the league, and if they didn't make it out the group stage, I think they would just see him quietly out the door at the end of the season. It would take something for him to be taken out of the club midway through the season. I also think they would probably, given time, if there's all these issues and he still hasn't put his real identity on the team, then he's got to be given time to do that. It's just at the moment, looking at the results, do we want this identity on? Do we want his identity on the team? I mean, what is Kim Sang-sik's style of football at the moment? He's playing the remnants of Chae Kang-hee's and Jose Moraes' football. He's not playing his own style. If Kim Sang-sik is where the club's going, then we have to see him bring his own ideas to the table, I think. But yeah, to answer the question, I don't think he's going anywhere midway through a season. I think we can review it at the end of the season if he'll stay. But I'd be surprised.
Indeed. Yeah, I would agree with you there. And then there was one other comment that came in during the stream. Dejan Citizen Brazil with a non-Dejan question, saying that their admin, El Tadao? Anyway, sorry. Predicted Daegu third, and they wanted to get your thoughts on that, Muyeol.
Sorry?
Their Dejan Citizen Fan Club Brazil wanted to get your 2 cents on Daegu finishing third in the league. They said preseason that's what was going to happen.
Well, actually, I have no idea, because I didn't predict the table for the K-League 1 this season, and
that's a wise choice, by the way. That's a smart thing to do. But can they do it? Do you think, now that you've seen them for over a third of the season, do you think Daegu can finish third?
To To be frank, no, there's a lot of factors that has to be taken into account because we have to play without probably 3 main key players during the Olympic season. Because Jung Tae-wook and Jung Seung-won and Kim Jae-woo, they are all key players, and we have to play without them like a couple of games more in the particularly very hot summer in Korea. So, and also depending on Jung Seung-won's move over the summer, I think that also decreased our chance staying in top 3. So, and also Serginho, I'm not convinced with his performance so far. So.
Oh, Serginho. Okay, I thought you said
Serginho.
Cecina for a second. I was like, you have a very high bar, sir.
Yes, I have.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. I mean, I'm very surprised to hear how much you think Jung Seung-won's going to hit the exits this summer. I guess it wouldn't be that surprising, but that is a seed that was not planted in my head before tonight. But other than that, I think that's it for the mailbag, Matthew.
Yeah, that's it from the questions that we had in. There are some questions coming in the comments, which I think we're going to just have to put to one side because not all related to the current topic of this podcast. So I think we'll put them in for a future mailbag and read them on the next pod.
Perfect. All right. In that case, then I will just tell you that if you'd like to become more involved with what we do around here, you can go ahead and head over to patreon.com/K-League United, where we're doing all sorts of work there, and it does include some new So Rare tiers, including the K2 champion, where you will get weekly injury news, suspensions, transfer rumors, which apparently there's another one. Muyeol just gave us another transfer rumor. I'm counting that as a rumor, by the way, Muyeol.
Yes,
You've heard it here first, everybody. That's a rumor. He just
Yes,
started
it
it.
is.
That'll be in there this week. There's also a lot more at the $10 tier, where we include a predicted starting 11, and there is a player scouting feature where once a month we will go deep dive into a player of your choice. We'll give you some advanced statistics and our own personal analysis from watching these guys play in person for a long time at this point. It's closed right now, but also at the lower tiers, at the $1 tier, there is K-League Survivor. We might hit reset on it soon. We'll see. But that's available at the $1 tier, and there's a bunch of other things going on. And Matthew's going to write a pub quiz for us soon. We're going to do a summer edition of the pub quiz. He didn't know that, but he does now.
Yep, that will be happening, I'm sure.
There we go. All right, and if you listen to this podcast live, if you want to listen to this podcast live, rather, you can tell it's the end of this show. If you want to listen to this podcast live, you can do so every Thursday on Football Nation Radio down in Australia. And if you subscribe and leave us a review, 5 stars preferred, then we will enter you into this month's K-League kit contest. It is a Gangwon FC goalkeeper kit from the ski jump year. It's a 2017 keeper kit that you can pretend that you're wearing in front of a ski jump, like Gangwon FC's keepers did that year. But that is about it for me. So for Jung Muyeol and Matthew Binns, I'm Ryan Walters. Thanks so much for watching.
정조선 고공 폭격기 김신